What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. Welcome to Sire's Domain. Quite a little bit of a different setting on this particular video. Hope you guys will like this one. I'm trying something new, and I want to make this as short and quickly as possible. So I came across this caption that stated that BLM leader threatens riots, fire, bloodshed in New York City if Eric Adams gets tough on crime. And I just wanted to render my comments because Black Lives Matter isn't really favorable at this point in time, although they got a little bit of a praise a few weeks back when they were protesting against the mandates as a result of something that happened or some event that occurred at Carmine Restaurant. This Black Lives Matter, in my own personal opinion, have been a legit Black Lives Matter who actually cares about their community. Well, I don't totally agree with everything that Hawk Newsom says or does, because he's one of these people that is pushing for some kind of a segregation. You know, he was one of those people that led the protest to say that they don't want, you know, white restaurants or business owners in New York and whatnot. So I don't totally agree with everything that he does or says. But I do agree with some of the things. Like last year, he called out Patricia Kankulos, who happens to be the leader of the Black Lives Matter global movement, the global network. He called her out for actually misusing funds, and we later found out that she was misusing funds. So I give him kudos for that. And I don't just judge people, you know, in general and lump everybody together and say simply because you're Black Lives Matter, you are automatically bad or you are automatically part of how I see the global network, unlike how people are doing it. No, you have to separate people. It's just the same way that the left looks at the right and says, well, if you're part of the right, well, you're part of maybe white supremacists, or you're part of Proud Boys, and not even all Proud Boys are the same. There are sectors of Proud Boys that actually met with Black Lives Matter to actually have a conversation. So everyone's not the same. So I just wanted to make a quick clarification with this particular story, because this particular heading, this what do you call it, caption, doesn't depict the full story. Now, from what I gathered from this story, there was a sit down between Eric Adams as well as Hawk Newsom to discuss about the Black community in New York and how they can go forward with policing. They also discussed about the economy and poverty and how they can tackle that over, over there in New York. But at the same time, they came to an impasse when it came to the point where Eric Adams told them that he's bringing back the anti-crime unit. And if you remember, they were responsible for some high-profile incidents like the Amadou Diallo and the Sean Bell, as well as the Eric Garner incident. We all saw the Eric Garner incidents. Even there was a song made about Diallo. Diallo, Diallo. You all remember that song? So, you know, we all shed tears for these people that died, unfortunately. So I felt, and I believe that, you know, disbanding the anti-crime unit back then wasn't the way to go in 2020. I don't think it was the way to go. I think that reform was needed, and reform is needed now. But there seems to be an impasse between these two people, because it seems like Hawk Newsom doesn't want them to bring back this anti-crime unit, because this anti-crime unit, you know, they do the stop and frisk thing, which a lot of people are not for. But are people actually for them bringing back this anti-crime unit? Well, let's take a look at this report real quickly, and then I'll come back with further analysis on this particular issue.
It's terrible. It's very, very terrible. And it needs to stop.
Valita Lewis has spent decades living here in Harlem and says she has not seen gun violence this bad since back in the 80s.
They need to stop selling these guns. They need to stop the killing.
The streets here in Harlem are so bad, community leaders want to take desperate measures to bring back the NYPD's plainclothes anti-crime officers. It's a team of officers some despise.
Plainclothes units should be brought back. I'm kind of short on the actual stop and frisk without effective policy.
So far this year, there have been 35 shootings compared to 26 last year in Harlem. That's a 34% increase. How would you like to see this plainclothes anti-crime unit come back? In what way?
Responsibly, one, and more aggressive. Anything short of the stop and frisk, because it violated a lot of Constitution, but they need to be more of a presence on the streets.
The NYPD dismantled anti-crime units last year after complaints about racial profiling, stop and frisk, and abusive behavior. The units were also involved in a disproportionate number of shootings, but now some are giving the unit a second look.
There seems to be a need for that, because it seems like since they've stopped, it have gotten worse.
Chaplain Robert Rice agrees, especially after praying with hundreds of families who lost their loved ones to gun violence, including the family of Shanice Young, a pregnant mother killed with her unborn baby.
We need the plainclothes back out there because we are losing these kids, and we're losing it at a record number. And families are crying out because they're crying out to say no more bloodshed.
So as you can see, what one of those people said is, we want them to come back, but we want them to come back responsibly, which I totally agree with. Now, in the exchange between Hawk Newsome and Eric Adams, I almost said Eric Garner, in the exchange between both of them, Hawk Newsome was asking for accountability from the police, which I think as a citizen, you need to be able to do. You should do that regardless of what side you're on. You should be able to reach out to your elected leaders and ask them for accountability if something bad happens, because everybody knows there are bad apples in the police, department. And because the police have interaction with people, these bad apples might bring, do things, and they may get away with it because of some kind of, immunity or something like that. So there should be some level of accountability for anybody. Otherwise, it will become kind of like a Gestapo rulership, which is what Mr. Hawk Newsome is kind of saying. So I wanted to point this out, that this is what this guy was trying to put out there, not really like a threat, but a warning. So let's read a little bit so that we can know exactly what was going on. Now, following the reports about the anti-crime unit, this is what the New York Post had to say about it. The controversial unit was dissolved in 2020, like I said before, by police commissioners Demont Shear following a disproportionate, that's in quotes, number of high-profile incidents that involved the plainclothes cops. Try saying that 3 times. Now, former officer Daniel Pataleo was assigned to the anti-crime unit when he placed Eric Garner into a chokehold on Staten Island, with the man's last word, "I can't breathe," quote unquote, becoming a rallying cry for the BLM movement. The BLM leader said that he was troubled. Adams, quote, didn't offer a comment on police reform. He didn't offer us anything concrete, end of quote, during their sit down. Following that, he also said, quote, "We will be at his front door. We will be at Gracie Mansion. We will be in the streets if he allows these police to abuse us," end of quote, Newsome said. So basically what Newsome is all about is that this police don't go around abusing people. Now, I know a lot of people that you would have seen, maybe if you have seen this story elsewhere, they wouldn't want to mention that Hawk Newsome actually said this, but that's what he said. Now, he also said, quote, "I am not threatening anyone. I am just saying that it's a natural response to aggressive oppression. People will react," end of quote. Now, I can understand why it might seem like this is a threat, but what he's only trying to say is that if these people continue to mistreat people, if this anti-crime unit comes back, the plainclothes cops, and they start mistreating people like they were before with the stop and frisk and all those kind of things, it might cause a reaction, and there will be protests, there will be riots, and there will be bloodshed. So in a way, I don't really think he's placing out a threat. I think that he's actually saying that these might be the repercussions of the actions if they go back to how it was before. So I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding here, because Eric Adams is also promising that it's going to be a reinvented anti-crime unit. So I really am curious to see how that's going to look like. What's that going to be? Is there going to be more, interpersonal relationship between police and the community, which is needed? And also I need to mention that Eric Adams has been somebody who has been advocating a lot that a lot of Black people should join the police force, because if they're joining the police force from the community, they know people from the community, policing would be easier, policing would be better, in my own personal opinion. Another person that actually made this sentiment last year was Officer Brandon Tatum. Some of you might know him. He's a massive YouTuber. He's a former police officer. He gives great analysis when it comes to policing and policing stuff. He really, really is good. Now, I don't really agree with everything that he says. You can't agree with everything everybody says, but I do agree with most of the things that he says, and he makes a lot of sense. He said the same thing that a lot of problems with police and black community is that many black people aren't joining the police force to actually serve their community. And that's exactly where Eric Adams stays as well. So this particular story, while the caption looks like it's very captivating and is really portraying this Black Lives Matter New York in a bad light, I don't really think that it's supposed to be a bad thing. I think that you are supposed to be able to question your own elected officials and hold them accountable for whatever goes wrong. And if there are more people that will do things like this, I think the world will be a better place if our leaders can be held accountable. That's my own personal opinion about this. Let me know whether you disagree, whether you agree with this, what part you do, what part you don't. Let me know your thoughts in that comment section below. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please feel free to smash that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ding that bell for notification. And I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Take care of yourself. Peace. And Saya's out of here. Catch you guys on the next one. Like I said before.
Anything short of the stop and frisk because it violated a lot of constitution, but they need to be more of a presence on the streets.